I've mentioned before in my past videos how I have a elite circle of best friends that I call the Henryati. The reason I do that is to distinguish between, at the time, it was distinguish best friends from just friends, because you really have to ask yourself, what is a friend? Well, I've defined my former coworkers as friends because, well, I knew them well from the 8 months that I spent working there. I am friends with them on Facebook, and it's a good way to be able to write out plans with friends as my reason for a time off request from the instant gratification job when it's in relation to seeing a movie, because my ticket is my plan and I am seeing friends there, even if I'm going alone. Plans with friends. However, I have never seen any of them outside of work. Well, when at least one of us is clocked in, it was clocked in there. So I would I would see them on the job when both of us were on the job, and then after I left, and once the theater reopened following the 5.5 month pandemic closure, once I was back, they were still on the clock when I saw them there, and I always saw them within the boundaries of the movie theater, or at most beyond that, the mall. So I would call them friends because I got to know them well enough, but we've never done anything outside the context of work slash school, which is actually one of the two criteria I came up with for Henryati membership when I initially defined it as that. Because before then, I had my friends who I would have considered my best friends and who were members of my inner circle. But when I turned this basement into Henryos, that's when I decided to more clearly define it. So to distinguish friends from and best friends, not really to divide them, more to just distinguish them, I declared the Henryati to be my most inner circle of best friends who went through an initiation ritual where first we did something outside the context of school slash work. In the case of the founding four, as I call them, it was just the way that we'd gone to see movies together and done other things outside of that context over the years. And then after the founding of Henryos, it was mostly movies we went to see together during that time. So October 2018, the entirety of the founding four came with me to see Venom. So that was their initiation into the Henryati, as it's well, as it was not going to be known by that point. And to this day, I still use it. I just don't really. It has changed up a bit in the years since I stopped going out as much and then abandoned Henryos when I was invaded by that mouse. So yeah, the reason I defined it as that, and I distinguish them is so I know who I trust with more things that I might not talk about on this channel at all, or things that I might go into deeper detail about with them compared to anything I would say here. And I'll leave it at that for now. I also wanted to distinguish the kind of friends that I do things outside of school/work with, and people I would invite into my living space. In this case, at that time, Henryos. So yeah, there was the founding four, and then there were three more I brought in during college, senior year specifically, because that's when I actually started to give a crap, Star Lord said, as Star Lord would put it in the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So first there was try hold on. So first in fall semester 2018, there was this girl I hung out with at on campus. We'd actually talk a little more outside of class than usual. She ended up not only giving me her phone number, but also a bunch of sources that she used for one of her class projects. That it was so that she could send me all those sources, which were actually applicable to what I was doing the research papers on that gave me nightmares that I'm going to talk about in a separate video. Anyway, she gave me those topics, and then it was her idea, since she was graduating early. That's hey, she wasn't going to be on campus the following semester, for us to see a movie together because I told her about my Saturday movie system and all that. So when she suggested that, I invited her to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because the rest of my friends weren't able to make it for various reasons. And so her initiation ritual was usually the way it was supposed to go is do something outside of school/work first, and then come to a Henryati meeting where the initiation is completed. So, in the case of platonic female friend one, as we'll refer to her, she actually came to the Henryati meeting first because we were going to go to the movie from there. My friend, the Yankees fan, was came over as well, so that part of it would be the initiation ritual, meaning there would be at least one other person to bear witness and show that they were that the new person was part of the group. So we did that. The three of us played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate because this was like a week after that came out. It was fun. And then me and platonic female friend went to see Into the Spider-Verse, which was a great movie, but unfortunately that was the last time I saw her in person. We were planning to see first the Lego movie, the second part, and her boyfriend was going to join us that time. He would have been initiated into the Henryati, but that didn't work out. That didn't go the way I expected. And you know what? I can live with that. But Platonic Female Friend 1 earned the title of Best Friend of the Fun Lord. That's what I called myself. That was my title when this was Henryos. And it is what it is. I'm just going to leave it there and move on. So, the next Henryati member, the sixth to join, was another girl in my college class who, who was also a platonic female friend. So for that initiation ritual, first we went to we went to the mall together, went mall walking, checked out some stuff, and then we went to this on-campus presentation about getting into the film industry from these actors and other crew member types. I only remember bits and pieces of it because this was about 6 years ago now. But the reason we went to the mall outside of off campus was so I would fulfill the requirement of doing something outside the context of school/work. And then she came to Henryos the next day, where the pair of brothers who are two of the founding four of the Henryati were there as well, and we played Mario Kart together, and it was a good time all around. And then after Avengers Endgame came out, this one guy who was part of the group project we were doing for the capstone presentation for the communication major, we went to see Avengers Endgame for his first time slash my second time in IMAX for the Bargain Tuesday. And then a couple weeks later, or after our big presentation, he came to the graduation party where pretty much all of the rest of the Henryati was, and we made him an official member of the Henryati. And the funny part was he actually his first name and last name were his first name and last name were actually the first names of the pair of brothers. I'm sorry, I'm just remembering how interesting that was. I saw him one other time in 2020 when after he went to see eh, met up with someone else who was halfway between because as where he, or I went to see him after he met up with his cousin was halfway between where he and his cousin lived. So there's that. Anyway, the point is, I like to distinguish my friend circle as what it is to make it, I guess, to be clear that, yeah, they're the kind of person I'd hang out with outside of the context of school/work. So, oh, again, I'd still call someone who I got to know pretty well a friend in the context of school/work, but to be a best friend, you gotta spend time with me outside the context of school/work and have been invited into my living space. Just like with this one guy who had come in and out of the rest of our lives as she was the son of a friend of my mom, but we officially made him a member of the Henryati on July 31st, 2021 when no way, I did a couple of remote inductions for two other guys, one being the brother of the computer guy, as I've called him in the past, and then the other being the band guy. And so the other guy, the one whose idea it was for the Sonic 3 viewing and happened to choose my birthday. He was inducted into the Henryati as the 10th member. And that was the last time I actually inducted anyone into the Henryati. I was 24, he was 23, I think. Yeah, he was born the same calendar year as me. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I have my circle of friends that I do because I tend to distinguish who's a friend outside the circumstances of circumstantial things like school or work. Like, yeah, the founding four, I met in, excuse me, I met in school. The first in elementary, second in middle school, the third in high school, and by proxy, his brother, the fourth. And then the three that I met in college. And then the two who had been part of my life up to that point, but because of the whole pandemic situation, we're doing Henryati meetings remotely. At that point, I decided to just induct them as members and declare their declare their participation as completing the ritual. But yeah, as much as I would consider my former coworkers at the movie theater friends, and not just because I want to be able to write down plans with friends for a time off request at the instant gratification job if I want to go see a movie on a day within my availability, or even if it's tangentially connected, like if I want the that day off so I don't have to worry about getting up the next day. I still consider them friends, but best friends are those that you do things outside the context of school or work after the fact, even if you were introduced through that context. Again, first seven members of the Henryati, some form of school, and the other three were by proxy. No, I was never in school at the same time as the as member four, so two of them by proxy, one of them who came and went, two of them who came and went over the years, and I finally decided to just declare him a member. So I think I'm going to leave it here for the video because I'm starting to go in circles now. Comment down below what you think of that, what your friend groups are like. whether you agree with my distinction between friend and best friend and what you would define as a friend. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I will see you soon.